All right. I think you should watch the Baha'i one because basically Baha'i really, affirm all the, the
Yeah,
Hindu, the Buddhist, which is, but to me, it's kind of self-contradicting in certain sense because they said they believe in probably in Buddhism, but that Mr. Dr. Yu also said they don't, Buddhist doesn't really believe in the concept of creator God. So that's why, how come that you say it is a square when you are round? I mean, also there are also many contradicting. In that sense, I can also claim that all people are Muslim in that sense, but it's just that how they are raised, how by their parents, how they choose their life and stuff like that. Technically speaking, logically speaking, we should all belong to one God. We all human race, one race,
Yeah,
and the world is basically the one country. So we don't fight each other. It's just that we have different ways of looking at things. We have different values. Probably we have some clashes here and there. But Arun is very deep kind of thing, but we're gonna go into that. Okay, you guys, do you have your FB, Nagis?
yeah,
Arun, you watch, you see the comment?
yeah, yeah.
yeah, my FB and my FB, I haven't seen the comment. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm on Nages's FB. How come I went to Nages's FB? Yeah?
So, I give you the link in the group. You click from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you must
Okay,
connect.
never mind. I mean, I can pick up from there. I'm just asking. So, okay, I just try to, from Kalai Selvan, Guru Kalai, probably this is Nages or Arun fan. Hope Nages sir can explain to all about Yajurveda 40, verse 9 and 40, 10 and 40, 11. Many fake preachers choosing 49 for confusing others. That's, I think, probably to Nagis because that's probably your fan. And probably Arun also can help by this. Hasmit Charles say, do they believe in the concept of one God, which is I
Yeah.
saw somewhere, and and if yes, why do they have so many gods if they are God in that sense? So there are two. One is you see the FB posting from Kalai, Nagis?
I saw.
Can you elaborate on that? Thank you.
Okay. That is actually Yajur Veda 40.9. Actually, where Zakir Naik and his followers always misinterpret that verses. So how? See, actually, the verses says God is 40.9. When Zakir Naik interprets, there is two important words there. One is asambhuti, and there is another word is sambhuti. Okay, asambhuti means imageless. Okay, sambhuti means image. Okay, so what Zakir Naik did, so he interpreted that sambhuti as a created things. Okay, created things. So he will mention chair, idol, all that is created things. Okay, and then asambhuti he will explain that which is natural things. Okay, actually the interpretation is wrong. So what Zakir Naik did, so he interpreted that sambhuti is a created things. So those who praise that created things will be in the darkness, will go into darkness, and then those who praise that natural things, they will go into a further darkness. That is what Zakir Naik interpretation. But actually, in the real interpretation is that Sambhuti is that image form. Okay, Asambhuti is the imageless form. So those who praise as image for those who believes God only existed in the image form alone will be in the darkness, and those who only believes God in the imageless form alone will be in the further darkness. So that is the interpretation. And then the Yajur 40.10, Zakir never interpreted that, never revealed that. Okay, the Yajur 40.10 explains that uh, you will be benefited by praying both image and imageless form of God. And then the Yajur 40.11 says, those who are real bhakta, a real follower of the God, actually supposed to believe both forms of image and imageless forms. So that is what Kalai want me to explain there.
Okay.
Okay, so this part is misinterpreted based to Zakir's belief system. So that is the problem there. Okay.
Okay, thank you Nagis. So basically Nagis also like I cakap tadi dia ada that blog spot. Basically dia ada banyak juga address some common misconception on Hindu religion or Hindu belief. Nanti kita akan discuss, probably dia akan share juga. He wrote quite articles on that. So yes, Mr. Arun, can you answer that question? Do you believe in one God, and if yes, why do they have so many gods?
Yes, this is I think Saudara Hazmid, Hazmid Chial. Okay, we're asking. Yes, definitely. Hindus believe in one God. That is the fundamental of Hinduism. And also this brother asked, if so, why there's a many gods? Okay, see, the Hindus believe, like what Saudara Nagis ceritakan tadi ya, ada dua konsep. Kamu boleh, you can have a formless form of God, or you can have a more formed form of God. So we believe in single God, but we believe in many manifestation. Okay, all the deities that you see, whether it is Parvati, or it is Murugan, or is Ganpati, or Shiva, and all the stuff is a form of God. But eventually we believe in a single Parabrahman, single Brahman. That is the omni God that we are talking about. So it is, see, the basic idea is the same. And this one probably the friend could have been confused with when Zamri Vino was saying there's a 330 million gods for Hindus, right? So even that, it is totally wrong. These are the misconception by those preachers that takes a lot of conceptual and principles of Hindus without any basis, and they're using this for all other reasons other than trying to clarify. So again, to answer Mr. Hazmida, yes, Hindus believe in one God, but we do have many manifestation in which we can see God. Like example, we have one Malaysia, but we do see the symbol of Malaysia through our flags, through our king, through our constitution, in all this different manifestation of Malaysia. But eventually, whether my lambang negara saya, bendera negara saya, raja negara saya, semua menuju kepada satu, yaitu the motherland Malaysia. Exactly, that is the rhetoric, conceptual of Hindu. So we believe in one God. Listen to that. One God, different manifestation.
Right.
Okay, saya tambah sikit.
Nagis, don't mind. If I, okay, please.
Okay, just now mengenai itu para Brahman. Para Brahman memang satu. That's why one God, tak ada image, dia tak ada keluarga, dia tak ada gambar, tak ada apa semua. So that is Hinduism already taught the world first. Okay, but the Hinduism also, we Hindus believe God got all the powers. Dia ada semua kuasa, maha berkuasa, maha mencipta semua. So Tuhan yang maha berkuasa ini boleh mengambil image atau rupa pada bila-bila waktu, masa atau tempat. So Tuhan yang maha berkuasa ini sepatutnya boleh mengambil rupa. So maka kita percaya Tuhan ini mengambil pelbagai rupa untuk menjalankan perjalanan urusan dunia ini. So contohnya Brahma untuk mencipta, Vishnu untuk sustain, kemudian Rudra ataupun Vishnu untuk moksha and so on. So that is the manifestation. So kita percaya Tuhan maha berkuasa, so Tuhan yang maha, yang serba boleh itu mampu mengambil rupa. So sebab itulah apa-apa rupa, contohnya patung yang kita letak di dalam kuil itu, kita percaya Tuhan boleh mengambil sebarang rupa, maka rupa itu juga boleh diambil. So dia merangkumi segala bentuk, segala sesuatu itu. Setiap manusia dalam diri kita pun ada Tuhan dalam bentuk Brahman. Atman dengan Brahman. So setiap sesuatu itu adalah daripada Tuhan yang sama. So itulah konsep di sini. So maka suatu Tuhan yang satu itu boleh menjadi banyak. So biasanya ada satu mantra yang selalu kata ekam anekam. That means ekam, Tuhan hanya satu, dia juga boleh menjadi banyak. Okay, so just tambah bagian itu.
Okay, thank you Nagis. Just from that as well, I ada dengar, I watched, of course, before this, I terpaksa baca juga all the Hindu punya, I watch all the YouTubes on Hinduism, like all previous. Hindu juga percaya macam, that concept of one God, and also everything is God, everything is holy. And to a certain extent, even there is no unholy, then of course, betul lah,
Betul.
Macam the extreme one, macam, sorry to say, I dah nampak tu, the extreme one boleh sampai macam, I've heard of Agori. Agori. So macam Agori is like, it's anti-unholy, so dia makan macam the dead corpse, even his own poo and stuff like that. So macam,
itu konsep salah.
I know this concept kasar, that's why dia kata macam there is no, this is because we try to understand the philosophy behind this thing, when everything is God and, and God is one. Everything can take the form of God in that sense. Cuma kalau macam Islam punya viewpoint is that, sorry, just to share, everything, God is uncreated and everything else is created by God. Belong to that God in that sense lah. Kalau you tanya macam, I think the soalan, the concept of uncreated God sama juga dengan para Brahman in the sense that orang boleh tanya siapa created God, There'll be never ending kind of question. So if you keep on going back to, there is nothing to be created if there is no uncreated first cause, Okay? To me, that's philosophical. I think Arun can relate to that, because who caused the cause, Like say there's argument dia cakap, kalau macam for a soldier mau attack nuclear bomb to Iran ke, to mana, to China, US, Trump gitu. So before, you go to the Trump, there must be one who really give that order. So kalau Trump kena tanya superior dia, superior 3 tanya superior, so you will never, no nuclear bomb will strike. They must be stopped at one. So now I'm trying to understand how that, everything is God. So it's a bit philosophical mambo jumbo yang it kind of hard to understand in that sense. Over to you. And Alistan also, kalau boleh you masukkan sekali. Is there a personal God do you have a personal relationship with God, or how does the Hindu relate to God when he prays? So when you pray, how you relate to your God?
Shall I take that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if I understand your question correctly, right? Okay. See, these are the difference between an Abrahamic and Dharmic religion. Okay, Dharmic religion believe everything is God. Abrahamic religion believe everything is God's.
Correct.
Okay, so there is that we believe in single God, that's for sure. But everything belongs to God, and everything is a form of God. It's that's a little different there, lah. So let me go into the everything is God. Okay, and if we have personal deity, yes, I think every Hindu, especially as what Mr. Nage said, if we are into practicing the form God, okay, in certain form, you have your favorite deity. Like for me, my favorite deity is Lord Murugan. Okay, I see the God through him. Okay, so why we need that personal deity, or some people they call it Kuladevam and all the stuff. It is because eventually, right? Eventually, your connection with God, okay, through his manifestation, eventually is a connection to God. And here, the most important part, by you connecting to God, you are actually transforming yourself to the principles in which the religion or Sanatana Dharma cherishes, which is all the good values of humanity. So does Hindus have their favorite gods? Yes, they does. And why? So that they can have a personal attachment for whatever reason. It could be because of their like I'm a Tamil, okay, I'm in a Tamilan. Okay, orang suku, orang kata saya buat Tamil ya. So mostly buat Tamil, they are more closer to Lord Muruga. Okay, and there's also probably like the north part of the India, they are closer to Lord Ganapati. They are group that are very close to Shiva, Parvati, and things like that. So they're close, all right, so that they can get connected to God through their favorite manifestation. But eventually, it is the single God they are connected to. So it's a very practical way of taming ourselves, taming our Pancha Indra towards the single God worshipping.
All right.
So
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Okay, I think it's quite clear. The Lord Murugan is somewhere in Batu Cave, the big statue.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it is one of the
Okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah. So I think from second Lord Murugan, dia anak Shiva, is it? Dengan Ganesha. So the twin brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Parvati, okay.
he is the son of
Shiva, Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva, yes.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, what I've read, the Hinduism, basically they have roughly 4 main, call it sects. Or they're like Shaivism, they got, Smartism, they got Shaktism, and what's the other one? I think there's something of
Yeah.
So, so in Malaysian, what are the, which sects? I mean, if I can say, call it sects. Nagis.
Okay, so ini ialah mazhab. Kita boleh kata sebagai mazhab. Okay. So mazhab tu kalau tengok betul-betul ada 6. Okay, dalam artikel yang video tu dia bagi 4 actually. So satu yang panggil Saiwa. Saiwa ini yang dia fokus kepada Tuhan Shiva. Okay, yang kedua tu Vaishnava. Vaishnava ni dia fokus kepada Tuhan Vishnu. Vishnu, kemudian Shakta. Mereka fokus kepada Parvati, iaitu kuasa Shakti. Kemudian yang ketiga itu dia yang fokus kepada Murugan. Murugan kita panggil Kaumaras. Okay. Kemudian ada yang follow Ganapati, so panggil Ganapatias. And then satu lagi ada ialah yang Surya. Surya Siddhanta panggil Saura. So ada 6 mazhab sebenarnya. Memang ke-6 ni bercampur. Di Malaysia kalau tengok kita memang bercampur. Kalau pergi semua kuil pun dia 6 mazhab punya follow itu memang ada sana. Okey, lebih kepada Smarta lah. Malaysia ni dia lebih kepada Smarta. Tapi Smarta tu itu kena faham sikit. Smarta tu dia lebih Smartism tu ada lebih kepada follow ada 2 jenis. Satu yang follow Shruti, satu lagi yang follow Smriti. Okey, yang Smarta ni lebih kepada Smriti. So dia bercampur semua. So ada 6 kalau boleh kita simpulkan. Tapi kesemua mazhab ni mempunyai pandangan idea yang sama mengenai Tuhan, iaitu para Brahman tu satu. Dari sana dia boleh manifest menjadi pelbagai. Memang fundamental belief semua, everything follow the same.
Okay, terima kasih Nagis. Kalau boleh saya, before this saya banyak juga buat interface. Of course I also listen from other Hindus. So the way they put it, in the sense that, there's one God, but there are many macam, in a Muslim context, we say one God, but God has, say 99 names, or basically, it's not name in the sense that dia punya sifat, the like he's the one who give you rezeki, or he's the all-loving, all-merciful. So this is named like the Hindu cakap. So basically the God takes one of these sifat lah, in that sense lah. Kalau macam Ganesha is macam wise and forgiving. So Murugan is probably God of war. Ini I don't know if they like what they are inclined to in that certain sense. So they subscribe to that. I mean that's how they told me lah, in that sense.
Correct.
Like the way we that macam I tak sure whether I don't want to argue on your kitab Yajurveda 49 whether there's image and imageless in that sense, but there is one question also I dapat daripada one of the friend. Dia cuma ditanya apa tu Arun and I guess. Let's say you put an image of God, whatever God that you have, the sifat. Macam we ourselves, basically God, you can even, it's basically we say imageless. You cannot even think of God until you die. Only then you can see but you know what are the sifat, what are the attributes of God. All forgiving, merciful and stuff like that, very all powerful and stuff like that. But we don't put in an image form in that sense. It's just that when you put that image form, whatever the idol, orang semua akan cakap, I don't pray to that idol now. Basically, you pray to the God. Just an image for you to just like they say, disamakan dengan kita, dengan Kaabah or not. To me, the question is, how do you know that is really an image of God? Get me? Whether that image of God, or say the all-loving in poverty, or the all-powerful or God of War is in Murugan, that you get me?
Yeah.
Whether how certain are you that is really the image of God in that light? You get me? So how certain are you that is really the image of God? Ada orang cakap this simple analogy. Are you married, Arun?
No.
Oh no, right. Just available. He's basically married to his social activity.
Yeah, I'm not available.
No, he's
But,
married to his work. I know,
Yeah,
he's
married to
very
Mateva, yes.
very busy with his work. It's just that, sorry, I mean, just dia cakap macam, how do you know that's really the God that you praying to? How certain are you? Macam cakap, probably Arun ada girlfriend, very beautiful girlfriend. Probably in state lah, tertinggal kat California. So he miss Arun, So he miss Arun and he put gambar, I don't know, probably some other people, they put gambar Nagis. Do you like that? That's what I'm trying to say. How certain are you that is really the image of God that you are praying to? How certain?
Saya faham soalan Syarul.
Yeah, Nagis, please.
Ini adalah masalah yang very common kita dengar orang Hindu sembah patung.
Yeah.
Ini memang orang kata awak berdiri di hadapan patung. So bila orang nampak, dia nampak kita berdiri di hadapan patung. Betul lah tu. Saya tak salahkan mereka. Because apa yang mata dia nampak, memang dia nampak saya berdiri di hadapan patung dan sembah. So bila dia nampak begitu, dia nampak itu sebagai saya sembah patung. Seorang ni saya tanya kepada Zamri juga. Because Zamri yang kata sembah patung tu bodoh kan. Dia pernah cakap macam tu. Saya call dia, saya tanya, siapa ajar you sembah patung? Saya tanya dia. Sebab dia kata, dia yang kata, bukan orang Hindu kata. Orang Hindu tak pernah kata dia sembah patung. So bila Zamri kata macam tu, saya tanya dia, siapa yang ajar you sembah patung? So dia kata, mana saya cakap macam tu? Tak ada, memang you cakap macam tu. Okey. Dan saya tanya dia lah, okey lah. Dari segi persepsi mata you nampak saya sembah di hadapan patung. Okey. Bagi saya juga nampak macam orang Kristian, dia pergi church, dia sembahyang di hadapan satu palang ke ataupun gambar Jesus ke ataupun patung Jesus. So saya nampak dia sembah di hadapan patung, betul tak?
Betul.
Dan saya juga, Syarul jangan marah. Ini
tak marah. Silakan.
Saya memang cakap dengan Zamri straight ni. Saya sebagai seorang non-Muslim, bila saya nampak di gambar Kaabah sana, orang Muslim, dia sekeliling dia berdiri sana, dia sembah di hadapan bangunan, betul tak? So bagi saya nampak dia macam sembah bangunan. Bolehkah saya kata you sembah bangunan? Saya tanya Zamri soalan ni. Betul tak?
Betul.
Zamri kata kepada saya, you tanyalah, saya boleh jawab. Saya kata, saudara, saya tahu jawapan satu sebab kita orang Hindu, kita tahu kita sembah Tuhan. So kita tahu bila orang Muslim tu sujud di hadapan bangunan itu pun kita faham dia sembah Tuhan Yang Maha Esa itu. So jangan pakai persepsi mata itu dan dibuat andaian sendiri berdasarkan persepsi sendiri. Ini yang saya jelaskan kepada dia. Faham Syarul?
Ya, saya faham.
Okay, so balik kepada image tadi, adakah itu Tuhan? Okay, so image itu kita percaya Tuhan itu maha berkuasa. So Tuhan yang maha berkuasa sepatutnya saya percayalah Tuhan yang saya sembah itu, dia maha berkuasa, dia boleh mengambil sebarang bentuk atau sebarang rupa pada bila-bila waktu, tempat dan masa. So ini kita percaya itu. So Tuhan yang maha berkuasa itu sepatutnya mampu mengambil rupa Muruga ke Shiva ke, sepatutnya kalau Tuhan itu tidak mempunyai sebab dia ada kekurangan, dia tak mampu, dia tak akan, itu satu persoalan, adakah kesempurnaan Tuhan itu? Persoalan macam itu boleh timbul. So ini bagi orang Hindu, kita sangat clear bahawa Tuhan Maha Berkuasa, Maha Esa ni Maha Berkuasa, so dia mampu mengambil rupa itu. Okey, selain itu kita ada dalam kitab-kitab ada kata kita punya sages pernah nampak. So macam mana pernah nampak? Satu, melalui meditasi mereka boleh nampak menggunakan mata hati. Kemudian orang Hindu percaya bahawa Tuhan pernah mengambil awatara. Awatara means Tuhan sendiri turun ke permukaan bumi. So pada zaman mereka turun ke permukaan bumi itu, so manusia yang lihat rupa Rama ke rupa Shiva pada masa itu, so mereka lepas tu mengimagekan dia. So kita percaya Tuhan tu apa image yang ada di sana, kita percaya begitu sebagai Tuhan. Lagipun kalau tengok mantra yang kita gunakan, tak ada satu mantra yang kata oh patung. Ada tak? Pernah ada, saya tanya Zamri, pernahkah you pergi kuil dulu, you kata oh patung, oh batu bagi saya itu ni? Setahu saya tak ada sebarang mantra yang mengatakan oh patung, kita pergi sembah sana, oh Maha Esa, oh Mahesen. Mahesen means Maha Esa lah dalam bahasa Tamil. Mahesen, nama Shiva, salah satu nama Shiva ialah Mahesen. So oh Maha Esa kita sembah macam tu. Oh Maha Mencipta kita sembah macam tu. Kita tak pernah kata oh patu,
Okay,
oh patung,
Lagis.
all this.
Lagis, I think your point is very clear. I think
Okay.
you pernah cakap tadi. I mean,
Okay.
basically you don't worship that, basically the patung. You basically basically the attributes lah of that
Okay.
patung. Actually, my soalan is little bit different, you know.
Okay.
Little bit different in the sense that, you know, how do you know that is the patung that macam you, one of the evidence you bagi tadi, probably the sage or the rishi, the orang alim ke siapa tu, they from through their meditation, they saw that probably that's the image of God lah. So they put that probably in the Veda or whatnot. The thing is, how sure are we that, you know, that dia yang dia tengok tu dia bukan tipu? The problem like right now, apa tu? Kalau sorry, I have to. This is I of course I'm biased with my own
It's okay, no problem.
Islamic punya perspective in that sense, you know. Apa tu? Arun. Cuma okay, I just tak cakap sikit. I biased because saya daripada Muslim. I always see from Muslim punya perspective. Really correct me, so at least we can understand each other better in that sense. Okay, Gangga dia cakap pasal ni juga, I just masukkan sekali so Arun boleh jawab. Why we have idol and how sure that image? So that's basically my question. Answer, our ancient rishi have prayer and seen their own eyes, Murugan or all other god. That's why the rishi have shown us the actual book of each god. So basically ni macam Nagis cakap tadi lah, from the rishi tu, they have seen the god, okay, that is the god. I mean they put in the Veda or whatnot. Betul Nagis?
Betul.
Like how you said lah.
Yeah, that's true.
Macam macam kita memang the concept of God in Islam, kalau you tengok the very fundamental is just one God, no image, no creator, not beget, no. So
Saya
I'm
boleh tanya satu soalan sini tu.
sure.
Because dalam agama Hindu kita percaya Tuhan boleh mengambil rupa atau image.
Correct.
Okay, dalam Islam dia ada tak konsep Tuhan boleh ke tak boleh ke, tak akan ke, ada ke konsep macam tu?
Okay, ada. God is all powerful. He can do whatever he wants, but he will not do something that is ungodly. Contoh, saya kata kalau macam ada satu, I think I saw somewhere ada orang cakap, can God create something he cannot, macam dia kata, can God create batu so huge he cannot uplift that batu. You get me, Arun? Macam he created but it's so unpowerful. Macam God kata is all knowing, tapi dia tak tahu what going to happen, you know, behind that thing. There are also many stories like God is say all knowing, but there are many incident stories that show that it's not all knowing, you know. God is powerful, like our God, if you want to do something, he just say it and benda tu jadi.
My question,
Just give it to to Arun. You take over.
My question tadi itu dalam Quran ke ada cakap tak Tuhan tidak akan mengambil image atau tidak boleh mengambil image? Ada tak macam tu statement anything?
Tuhan, actually our central core belief is basically Surah Al-Ikhlas, is 112 is basically Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allah satu saja. Allahu Samad is basically eternal. Dia tak ada start, macam tak ada end. Lam yalid wa lam yulad, dia tak beranak, tak diperanakkan. So you got no many gods. And last sekali, lam yalid wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan. There is nothing unto like God. Kalau kita tiba-tiba mimpi oh I saw God, you know. There is a chance that Nagis, kalau macam tu, takut kalau macam we also once upon a time we all believe in one God. But just that takut kalau macam orang dia believe, I've seen that God, I mimpi. So they have certain followers. So they create more religion and more sects in that religion. You get me? So probably orang tu dia tak buat yang teruk-teruk, tapi dia kata, oh kita kena tolong orang. Tak pun there is innovation in religion.
Sebab dalam Bible ada pesan, ada kata, so a man is created in the image of God.
Yeah, I mean that's
dalam Bible dia ada bagi statement macam tu, tapi
betul,
dalam Quran saya tak pasti, saya rasa tak ada statement macam tu.
Tak ada. Dia kata kalau you PM tiba-tiba you nampak God, Nabi tak boleh. That's not God. Kita akan jumpa God. One of the ultimate thing is when we die, apart from surga, we can see God. There's no image. We cannot see God.
Dalam Islam dia hanya percaya satu bahagian, iaitu Tuhan tanpa image, itu saja.
But God can do apa yang God nak buat, tapi dia tak boleh buat ungodly things. Macam dia tak boleh lah, you get me? Macam tiba-tiba God tak tahu, God kalah. God is all powerful, tapi dia lawan-lawan dia kalah, dia tak boleh. You get me? Say Arun, I know this is a bit very deep and theological.
Okay.
So Arun is a bit philosophical, so I like him. So go ahead, Arun.
Yeah, like what Nagesh was saying. Okay. Your question was how sure you are that image is actually is the real
representation
of the real image.
Yeah.
So there's no need. Again, I go back to the fundamental things. The thought that counts. Example, like what you said. Let's use the same analogy that you use. My girlfriend in California, she so miss me. So she do not have the picture of me for whatever reason, but she have the ring I gave her. All right. She probably will take this ring and look at it and think about me. Okay. She's still thinking about me. So the thought that counts. So in like what Nagesh said, there are some people who, some of the rishis had the boon of seeing the image form of God. But even the image, okay, do not have to. The thought actually, it counts. That's why the Hindus believe Tunulu irpar, Turumbilum irpar. He will be in the form of pillar. He can be in the form of pillar, or it can be in the form of atoms. So basically, that we cannot dictate which form you'll be. But all the form that you want him to be, he will be there. Because your concept of the Tuhan Maha Esa always reside, meaning as doesn't matter wherever you pray, as long you pray to the Almighty Omni God, that God will know. Thought that counts. That's what in Hinduism it gives such a freedom, 180-degree freedom to their devotees. You worship the Almighty God in the form that you can totally 110% can connect to them in your own way. That's why certain people have their favorite deities, and there are some people don't even use the deity form of praying. So like example so in Hinduism, okay, it is not one pandal for all. There is actual stages. Example, kindergarten level, primary level, secondary level, university level. There are folks that actually praise to the form. Okay, praise to the form, so that they can tame their 5 pancha indra. Okay, they can have a deity for their eyes, they can have the mantras for the ears, they can have all the fragrance for their nose, and they have a divine feel towards that. So they can tame, so that they can control the mind. At the time they already control their mind, they do not need the form shape of the God. They can now start meditating. They can connect by their power of their mind. And then that's how, actually in Hinduism, there is stages of you attaining where you want, the moksha, and stages of you practicing. And this all depends on the very being, whether Arun Dorasamy is in the primary level or secondary level. So the statue, the deity that I'm praying to, Lord Muruga, I'm praying to the concept of Lord Muruga. And what is the concept of Lord Muruga? Is the only God I'm praying. So I don't have to be. The thought actually is what matters the most.